Good day and welcome back to the fourth lecture series for the subject correctional administration. So in the previous series, we discussed on American and European history. So on this series, we'll be discussing on Philippine history of corrections, and then we will also discuss the latest law concerning the operation of our correctional facilities here in the Philippines. Okay, so let's proceed with the first question. So the first question is this. It is the equivalent of today's police stations or precincts where the laws were enforced by the Guardia Civil. Okay, so basically, uh, the during the Spanish period, every area that is declared to be under military control, for that matter, okay, that are also placed under a Guardia Civil control, okay, also operate a particular facility which is very similar to our police station. And as far as these facilities are concerned, they also maintain a lock-up jail, a facility very similar to that of the lock-up jail, wherein a particular person who was arrested, they could be held, okay, into custody while investigation is being conducted or while investigation is underway. So the answer to that particular question is basically the so-called commandancia. And the commandancia basically, okay, could refer in two ways. It could be referring to the whole district that is placed under military control, or it could also be the headquarters, okay, of that particular district. Okay, so next question. Okay, it was the first penal institution in the country whose scope is a national penitentiary in nature. So while it is true that there are earlier prison facilities, such as, for example, Fort Santiago, which was the first prison facility in the Philippines, okay, but it only caters to a certain territory. Okay, whereas this particular facility became the first penal institution which is national penitentiary in nature, meaning that it caters, okay, to all people who are convicted, okay, all over the Philippines. Okay, so this particular prison facility is no less than the Bilibid prison. So the Bilibid prison came to light, and it was constructed in the year 1847. So the reason why it is called the Bilibid prison is because it is located within the so-called Bilibid Comandancia. So in the Bilibid Comandancia, or in the Bilibid district in the city of Manila, where the name was derived, is an insular penitentiary, okay, which was a product of a royal decree that was issued that was issued later in the year 1865. So the physical layout of the Bilibid prison is basically in conformity with the existing concept of criminology at that time, okay, existing in Europe. Okay, so next question. Okay, it is a prison facility that is built in the southern tip of Zamboanga that accepts prisoners convicted from the area. Now, this prison facility is also known as the oldest penal farm, because this is the second prison facility that was constructed after the Bilibid prison, but instead of it being an industrial type, it is an agricultural type. Okay, so it is the first penal farm, okay, that was constructed under the Bureau of Prisons, and that is no less than the San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm. So the San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm was constructed, okay, during the stint of Ramon Blanco, okay, being the Governor General, okay, in the country during that period. Okay, and at the same time, noteworthy to consider, gentlemen and ladies, is that San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm is it is not one, but it is, okay, the source of the largest income. Okay, it is the largest source of income on the part of the Bureau of Correction. So the main product, okay, because in the previous board examination, tinanong na rin ito. So the main product produced by the San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm is basically copra. And copra is a product derived from that of a coconut. Okay, and at the same time, this prison facility caters to 3 sets of offenders, the maximum, the medium, as well as that of the minimum. And then we have here another question. It is a penal colony that was established by Governor Forbes during the American period in the Philippines. So in as far as this penal colony is concerned, this is considered also to be the prison without walls. The prison without walls in the sense that literally there are no walls, okay, separating the prison from that of the community, because what exists between the prison and the prison administration is the trust and confidence that these people will not escape. Because you have to remember, there are nowhere else, okay, that a person could go to if they will escape from this facility. Okay, so the answer for this particular question is that of the Iwahig Penal Colony that is located in Palawan. Now, one thing that we need to remember about the Iwahig Penal Colony is that it is known to many names. One of them is that it is considered as the world's best open institution because, as we have made mention a while back, it is characterized by having no walls, okay, as a prison facility. Okay. Another is that in as far as this is concerned, it is also one of the prison facility from which when a particular prisoner, some of these prisoners who have served their sentence does not want to leave because of the belief that they have a better life inside the prison rather than going out of the prison facility. But definitely, by law, it would be illegal to maintain a particular inmate inside the prison if he already have served, okay, the sentence that was imposed upon him. Okay, so in relation to that, what happens now to the inmates who does not want to leave? Okay, so they made a remedy for that. And in relation to that, we have here a question. It is a place assigned to a released inmate, okay, in Iwahig Penal Colony who no longer had any desire to return to their original homes and who instead settled good in Palawan. But you have to remember, as we have made mention, since it would be illegal for the prison to maintain a particular prison, a particular person who already have served their sentence, so they made a remedy. Okay, they came up with this 1,000 hectare piece of land, okay, which is intended, okay, for these released inmates, okay, to be to stay if they do not wish to go home. And in relation to this question, okay, our answer is the Tagumpay Settlement, gentlemen and ladies. As we have made mention, the Tagumpay Settlement is basically, okay, a place where prisoners who does not wish to go back home, okay, will be allowed to stay, and they will be allowed also to borrow, okay, a 6-hectare piece of land, okay, from the Bureau of Corrections for them to maintain. Take note, 6 hectares. Okay, hihiramin lang, hindi aariin, something like that. Okay, and then we have here another question. It is the law that established the Davao Penal Colony and at the same time that of the New Bilibid Prison. So one thing that you need to remember is that the Davao Penal Colony is the first penal facility built under Filipino leadership. Okay, and as such, okay, the Davao Penal Colony, as far as its design is concerned, it is also a Filipino design, something like that. Okay, but of course, this Davao Penal Colony did not exist without, okay, a law. Okay, so together with the New Bilibid Prison, okay, the Davao Penal Colony was made possible through the passage of Republic Act 3732 and Proclamation numbered 414 series of 1931. Okay, so as far as the Davao Penal Colony is concerned, okay, it is being considered as the biggest abaca plantation in the country, but okay, it also plants banana because of the 3,000 hectares banana plantation, okay, as a result of a memorandum of understanding between the Davao Penal Colony and that of the Tagum Development Corporation. Okay, and that memorandum of agreement, as we have made mention, resulted in the construction, okay, or in the conversion of these 3,000 hectares as a banana plantation. Okay, now just like that of the Iwahig Penal Colony, the Davao Penal Colony also has a facility intended for those inmates who have been released from confinement but does not wish to go back to their original places. In the case of the Davao Penal Colony, that is the so-called Tanglao settlement. Okay. Now, another facility that was created, okay, by Republic Act 3732 and Proclamation numbered 414 series of 1931 is the New Bilibid Prison. So the New Bilibid Prison, the reason why they came up with the idea of coming up with another Bilibid Prison is because of the fact that the old Bilibid Prison is already over-congested. It is already overpopulated. So if it is over-congested, if it is overpopulated, they need to look for a bigger facility. And true enough, okay, through this law, okay, the Bureau of Prisons at that time was able to look for that particular area, which is found in Muntinlupa, which was formerly part of the province of Rizal. So in Muntinlupa, because the Bureau of Prison, okay, owns that particular old Bilibid prison, and the city of Manila owns a particular facility in Muntinlupa, so they came up with an agreement to exchange instead their property. So the city of Manila, okay, took over the Bilibid prison, the old Bilibid prison, and converted it as the Manila City Jail. And the Bureau of Prisons took over the boys training school owned by the city of Manila, situated in Muntinlupa, and converted it as the New Bilibid Prison. Okay? Okay, so what was the last penal facility to be built by the Bureau of Prisons? So the answer to that question is basically the Leyte Regional Prison, which was established in January 16 of 1973 on the orders issued under martial law by former President Ferdinand Marcos. So the Leyte Regional Prison, okay, take note of the term regional prison, okay, this is the only regional prison that we have in the country. One thing that we need to remember also is that the Leyte Regional Prison, okay, was made possible through the issuance of Presidential Decree numbered 28. As mentioned here, it was issued during the martial law by President Ferdinand Marcos. Okay, and then here comes the next question. What law governs the operation of the Bureau of Correction? Okay, so is it RA 10159, 10575, 10757, 10519? Okay, so obviously, okay, 10159 is the law, okay, on subsidiary imprisonment, amending Article 39 of your revised penal code. So that the answer for this particular question is Republic Act 10575, otherwise known as the Bureau of Corrections Act of 2013, which was approved May 24 of 2013. Okay, so 10575, that is now the law that governs the operation of the Bureau of Correction. But to answer the question, what law governs the creation of the Bureau of Corrections? So to answer that question, the answer is by virtue of Executive Order number 292, otherwise known as the Revised Administrative Code of 1987. Okay, so what happened there is that it renamed the Bureau of Prisons into a Bureau of Corrections. Okay. Okay, next question. Okay, under Republic Act 10575, what is considered as the custodial component of the Bureau of Correction? Because under Republic Act 10575, there are two components. We have the safekeeping component, and then we have the reformation component. And at which component, okay, is responsible in the custodial, okay, of or into the custody, okay, and security of that of the inmates confined in the Bureau of Corrections facilities. So basically, that is the so-called the safekeeping component.
So the safekeeping components, okay, shall act, okay, to ensure the public, of course, including that of the inmates and their victims, okay, that these inmates are provided with their basic needs. Okay, they are completely incapacitated from further criminal acts and have been totally cut off from their criminal networks. So yun yung trabaho ng ating case safekeeping component. Reformation component, they are also responsible in the implementation of the rehabilitation programs for these inmates. Now, in as far as reformation is concerned, under Republic Act 10575, there are 6, okay, components, okay, or there are 6 rehabilitation programs. Okay, but of course, the law is very clear that the Bureau of Corrections can add, but they can never, okay, reduce. Okay, as far as this reformation of national inmates is concerned. So first one here is that we have their moral and, okay, spiritual, okay, program. So when we talk about the so-called moral and spiritual program, it talks about, okay, rehabilitation program, which is designed to address the mind, okay, as well as the behavior of that particular offender. In conjunction, moral and spiritual program is used in conjunction with number 6, which is the behavior modification program. Okay, so we also have here education and training program. So the education and training program is basically designed to address one particular concern, and that is ignorance and mal-education. Because there is a recognition, of course, that the reason why some of the offenders committed crime is out of ignorance or because of lack of education. And so to prepare these inmates from their gradual reintroduction into the society, so education and training program was designed. Okay, so the education and training program comes in 3 forms, okay, depending on the education needs of that particular person. Okay, so we have their the adult basic education. So the adult basic education involves elementary and of course high school education for those who were not able to finish the same. Okay, so the ALS program of the DepEd is also integrated as part of the education and training program. So how about those who have finished high school? They are actually entitled to what we call as college education. So is there a college education, okay, in the Bureau of Corrections or in the Bilibid prison for that matter? The answer to that question basically is yes. There is an educational, there is a college education, but it is limited in the Bilibid prison and it is limited to courses that has something to do with business. And another is that the courses that are being offered there are courses that does not require a board exam, because definitely if you are in prison, you are not qualified to take the board examination. Okay, so that, okay, in as far as this so-called college education is concerned, okay, to answer the question, who will provide you with the diploma? Of course, it could not be University of Bilibid because there is no such thing as University of Bilibid, but it will be provided by a school in Muntinlupa, okay, that came into a memorandum of understanding with that of the Bureau of Corrections, that they will handle the college education, okay, for the Bureau of Correction. And that school is basically the Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Okay, and then of course we also have their for the training program, we have the vocational program. Sir, as to who will be entitled with the so-called vocational program, you have to understand that even if a person is highly educated, a person might be a lawyer, a person might be a PhD degree holder, okay, a person might be someone with a very high education, but the moment that you are convicted, okay, it is already useless on your part, okay, or parang nagiging useless na yung mga educational attainment mo na yan, considering the fact that you cannot use them the moment that you will go out of prison. So definitely, in as far as this education and training program is concerned, okay, we have to understand, okay, that the vocational training program is intended, okay, to teach skills for those offenders so that they are ready for employment the moment that they will leave the prison. And then we also have their work and livelihood program. Okay, so work and livelihood program, okay, is also given to a certain group of inmates, okay, who are qualified under the so-called work and livelihood. Of course, behavior-wise, okay, you should have proven yourself to be trusted. Another is that in as far as the work and livelihood program is concerned, okay, you also need to be skilled, considering the fact that if you are given a work and livelihood program, there is a possibility that you could be given some sort of compensation. And the compensation will basically be determined by no less than the director of the Bureau of Corrections. Okay, so that is for the work and livelihood program. But to answer the question, okay, is there a way of knowing who among the inmates are to be classified as such? So meron tayong category dyan. Meron tayong, okay, class 1, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and grade 4. Okay, so if you are categorized as a grade 1 worker, it means among others that you are highly skilled or you are technically skilled and that you could work alone even without supervision. So the moment that you are categorized as a grade 1 inmate based on your workmanship, then definitely you could also be assigned as the leader. And at the same time, this is the only situation in jail or prison wherein another prisoner can have a supervisory function over another inmate. Okay, so work and livelihood. Are you entitled to a salary? The answer is yes. Okay, however, it is subject to the determination of the director of the Bureau of Corrections kung sino yung pwede. And at the same time, at kung magkano yung ibibigay sa'yo as a compensation. Okay? And then of course, we also have their sports and recreation program. Okay, one of the concerns is that in certain cases, since inmates are doing nothing inside the prison, they become idle. And we have to understand also that an idle mind is the playground of evil. Okay, and in order for us to remove the possibility that these inmates will be thinking of doing some other acts inside the prison which is inimical to the safety of the prison population, it is but necessary that sports and recreation program will be accorded to them. Again, what will be addressed by the sports and recreation program is basically boredom and idleness, because through boredom and idleness, okay, prisoners could engage in some other activities such as, for example, riot and other similar, okay, nuisance activities. And then, of course, we also have their health and welfare program. Of course, okay, these inmates still need some medical treatment, medical attention coming from the government. Okay, because if we are going to consider, okay, they still need some medical attention, because what was removed from them is only their okay, freedom and the right to receive some sort of medical attention from the government is not removed from them. And then, of course, we also have their behavior modification program that includes, among others, therapeutic community. So in therapeutic community, they will group the inmates according to their common problems. And from there, from the common problems, they will also try to provide solution for it. Okay? So, by the way, if you have some questions, okay, you can send your questions through Facebook, okay, through my messenger account, Rubino Dicawi. And if I would be able to see them, then I would be very glad to answer your questions. Okay. So, by reason of 10575, okay, what directorate in the BuCor is responsible in the pre-release and post-release of inmates? So, pre-release, okay, before you could go out and after you go out, okay, they have the responsibility of doing an evaluation and at the same time, follow-up, okay? The idea here is to make sure that you are not endangering yourself or you are not endangering the community again the moment that you are released. Okay, and by the way, as far as 10575 are concerned, there are 4 directorates that were initially created. Directorate for Reception and Diagnostics, responsible in the admission of newly committed inmates. Security and Operation Directorates, they are responsible in the implementation of the security protocols inside the Bureau of Corrections facilities. Reformation Directorates, they are responsible in the implementation of the rehabilitation program, and the Directorate for External Relation, who are responsible in the pre-release and post-release of inmates. Okay? Next question. What is the rank of the head of the Bureau of Corrections? As per Republic Act 10575, okay, the highest rank for the head of the Bureau of Correction is Under Secretary. Take note, that is his rank. What is the position? Okay, that is Director General for Corrections. Now, this is where the confusion comes in. When you go to the PNP, BGMP, and that of the BFP, except of course the PNP kasi iba na yung ranking system nila. But when we talk about Director General, okay, it is understood that that is a rank for the BGMP and that of the BFP. However, okay, for the Bureau of Correction, the Director General is not the rank, but it is the position, because the rank in the Bureau of Correction is Under Secretary. Okay, the rank next lower to Under Secretary is Assistant Secretary. After Assistant Secretary, Chief Superintendent, followed by Senior Superintendent, Superintendent, and you know what comes next, okay, after the ranks of Superintendent. Yeah, Chief Inspector, Senior Inspector, and then Inspector. So the highest rank, I would like to reiterate that it is Under Secretary. The position is Director General, okay? The second rank is, of course, Assistant Secretary, followed by Chief Superintendent. Please take note of it. Now, what is the maximum term of office of the BuCor Director General? Okay, so the BuCor Director General, unlike in the PNP, BGMP, and BFP, their term of office is limited to 4 years. But for the Director General of the BuCor, the maximum period is 6 years. Okay, so maximum term of office for BuCor Director General is 6 years. Okay, another question. What is the standard reformation personnel to inmate ratio? Okay, so reformation personnel to inmate ratio, just like, let's say, for example, for the police to population ratio, the standard is 1:500. In jails and prison, okay, for purposes of security, the ratio is 1:7. Meaning, for every 7 inmates, there must be at least 1 jail guard or prison guard. However, under Republic Act 10575 for the Bureau of Correction, since we have created 2 components, the reformation, and then we also have the security. So the security component follows the ratio of 1:7, and the reformation to personnel to inmate ratio follows the ratio of 1:24. So ibig sabihin, for every 24 inmates, they are being supervised by technical officers, by a technical officer. Okay, so 1:24 for reformation, 1:7 for security. The question now, however, is that how about the personnel to inmate ratio in cases of inmates transport? That is 1:1 plus 1. Take note, 1:1 plus 1. Bakit hindi na lang ginawang 1:2? The 1:1 plus 1 is flexible. It is flexible in the sense that if you will not be using a vehicle, the ratio is 1:1. But if you are using a vehicle, it is 1:1 plus 1, because the plus 1 there is intended for the driver. Okay. And then we also have here another question. This is the last question, actually. So who shall appoint the personnel of the BuCor, commencing from the rank of Corrections Officer 1 to Corrections Chief Superintendent? Okay. So who is the appointing authority? The appointing authority is letter E, as in echo, because again, the Director General of the BuCor is the same as the Undersecretary of the Bureau of corrections. And then, of course, you also need to understand that for undersecretary, from chief superintendent up to the director general of the BuCor, the appointing authority there is always the President of the Republic of the Philippines. So basically, that ends our that ends the uh, series 4 of our lecture. Okay, and then please stay tuned for your series 5.